I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm with the lesbian on this one. Let's talk about the effort to save women's sports. There's been a lot going on lately on X about issues surrounding San Jose State University. One of their players on their women's volleyball team is a man. And several of the colleges that are in their division have forfeited matches because they feel like it is unfair to play a team that has a man on their team. First of all, it's not getting a lot of coverage in the news. It's been on X, but it's not so much in the mainstream news. There's a lot of people in our orbit, as in the regular people crowd, that think that this is a rare occurrence. This isn't really even happening. Some people say is conservatives are up in arms about nothing. And there's no men who are trying to really pass on women's sports and participate in them. Or if it is, it's just a handful of examples. Well, that narrative, I think, is starting to change. The recent events that I've been seeing on X about these teams who are finally standing up and saying, we will no longer go along with this charade. We are not going to pretend anymore that having men on women's sports teams is a good idea. And in some cases, it might not even be a safe idea. Go look up women who have been injured by men as a result of them being in these situations. But recently, Boise State was just the latest in several of these who forfeited their conference tournament semifinal match against San Jose State University, refusing to face male athlete Blair Fleming, a truly heroic stand for women's sports. The problem is that it's the women who are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Where are the men? Where are the men to also say, hey, this isn't fair? And Martina Navratilova, if you're old like me, you remember her, legendary women's tennis player, really pioneer in women's sports, and also a very public lesbian. She says it stinks that these athletes, in order to stand up for themselves, have to give up playing. Bravo, girls, proud of you. Thankfully, there's a lot of support in the comments. We scroll down, the joy on their faces. Proud of you for taking a stand. Thank you for your steadfast support of women's sports. Thank you. We're all behind you. Hold the line. Proud of Boise State. And I really think that some of the public sentiment is starting to turn on this issue. People are getting more open to the conversation, which I think is a good thing. And Martina Navratilova is part of a stream of feminism that's called TERFs. I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but if you go back on my podcast timeline for Theology Mom to January of 2023, I believe, I did a podcast with my daughter, Emily, which is kind of a crash course on the different streams of feminism. And Martina Navratilova is in a stream that says, you know, we're all for women's sports, but transgender athletes, men posing as women in women's sports is not a good idea. They are not for the radicalization of children into the trans ideology, and they are not for men coming into women's sports. It's a very interesting stream. Again, it's called a TERF, TERF. It's an acronym for something that escapes me right now. But Martina Navratilova, although a lesbian, does not affirm this kind of transgender ideology. In fact, she had another recent post on X to this effect. She's becoming more and more outspoken about this issue. She says, New York Times, you stink, because the New York Times ran a column with a headline that says how a women's college volleyball team became the center of the transgender athlete debate. And yes, it is that situation at San Jose State. But then in the text of the Times article, they use this term. Notice here in the highlight, it says non-transgender women. Now, wait a minute. What non-transgender women? So if you just substitute, this will help you. Because I'm here to help. Okay. If you just substitute the word fake for trans, then you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Okay. So let's recap this. So non-fake women, non-fake women. Oh, wait, that's just women. That's what we're talking about. We're just talking about women. We've got 3 words that we're using just to say what we used to say in one word up until 5 minutes ago. It's just so bizarre to me. So the way now that we're defining a woman is that she's a non-fake woman. Okay, why don't we just call her a woman? And so the Times is completely not only using the framework and the language of the transgender ideology, they're now defining women out of the picture as if we are the abnormality. It's peculiar. And so Martina Navratilova just is kind of in a posture of enough is enough. We're not doing this anymore. New York Times, do better. She says, we are women, not transgender women. We're just women. You can say that just women will do in the future. Don't call us non-transgender women. This is dumb. We aren't participating like this. And I have to say that on this issue, I'm with the lesbian.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
A person who has really been out in the forefront on this is a gal named Jennifer Say, who has an increasing following on X. She heads up an athletic apparel company. Get a load of this ad that her apparel company produced that got banned from TikTok because it's too controversial.
We deserve our own sports, privacy, fairness, safety. We deserve a chance to compete and win. So don't be nice, don't be careful, be honest, be brave, fight for women. We've come too far to give up now. And if you agree with that, stand up and stand with us.
So if you think that's too controversial for Twitter, I don't know what we're doing with all the witch videos and all the crazy satanic stuff on TikTok, but this is too controversial for TikTok. Though we're going to talk about a man and a woman. We're going to talk about Genesis 1, 26 and 27, that God made male and female. Yes, friends, there are only 2 sexes. Be brave. Stand up wherever you are, your kid's school, your local public library, considering who you vote for, especially in those local elections. Stand up for clarity. Be brave. Stand up for reality. There are 2 sexes. Yes, my friends, male and female is part of God's good design. Do you really know that in your heart? Do you really believe it in your heart? I hope so, because the future is not female. The future is male and female. Thanks for watching.